Darla, what's going on?
Why are you asking me?
Freddie Freeman! This guy taught me everything I know about being a dope superhero. True story. You should get some pointers from him. What's going on? My best bud in the whole world, and also new kids that I'm meeting for the first time, but seem very cool. I invited another friend. I hope that's okay.
Go back one.
According to sources close to the scene, an armed man has taken people hostage on the second floor of that building. The situation is considered active. Police say the man is wearing body armor and should be considered extremely dangerous. No injuries
I think we just found something
yet.
we can agree on.
We are following it closely, though.
We're gonna go play outside now, Mama Rosa.
About time someone listens to me. Stay warm, put your coats on.
Superman.
Hi everyone, it's Charlie. They just released Shazam on digital. You probably heard the director talk about their deleted scene with Henry Cavill's Superman, the original ending of the movie. There are now 3 different endings that this movie had, including the one that you just saw with Superman walking up and just freaking Freddy out. So we'll break it down. I'll also talk a little bit about what just happened with the Flash movie, because there was some really big news that just dropped. We're doing a new IMAX ticket giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a Shazam or Superman comment on the video. I'll name a new winner at the end of this. Alternate endings first. So there are 2 alternate versions of the ending scene that you just saw. Deleted scenes, basically. The first deleted scene is the Shazam family seeing that there's a hostage crisis downtown on the local news and deciding to use their powers to save the day. It's meant to be their first real time acting as superheroes after the events of the movie, after they put the 7 deadly sins back in the Rock of Eternity, after Dr. Savannah goes to prison and has that scene with Mr. Mind. This is well after the events of the movie. Like, okay, we're going to be doing this all the time now, at least locally, because even though the Superman scene as it exists right now is shot so that you can't see his head, it's still meant to be the real Superman within the context of the DC universe. Meaning that Billy has met the Justice League, and the Justice League, including Superman, know that there are now 6 kids, little kids mostly, crazy strong magical powers living in Philadelphia. If you were the Justice League or even just Superman, you would probably want to keep tabs on them because his weakness is their power. Magic is his big weakness. So I think the idea is that Billy has met the Justice League and they've told him to take it slow, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man style, while he and the other Shazam family, the Shazamly, are still figuring out their powers and learning about the Rock of Eternity. The reason that they tried this version of the ending, and obviously wound up deleting it because they decided the Superman cameo one wound up being better, is because originally there was a separate Henry Cavill Superman scene that didn't seem like they were going to be able to shoot. So during the commentary track of the movie, the director said that he needed to come up with an ending. Oh my god, we have to have an ending for this movie. But he just decided that this wasn't quite the one that he was looking for. So that's why it wound up being a big deleted scene. The other deleted scene is the original ending as they intended it, the very first one that they had planned with Superman full on. It was a much longer version of the Superman scene that you saw in the actual theatrical cut. The deleted scene, the alternate ending with Superman, was going to be Henry Cavill's Superman walking into the lunchroom on cue and sitting down fully in frame next to Freddy at the table so that you could actually see that it was him, but he didn't have any big dialogue. There weren't any lines. He just sat down. When Freddy craps his pants and makes that yelp sound of extreme surprise, originally he had a bunch of lines where he starts freaking out, and it was a much longer version of him going, oh my god, I have so many questions, and just laying into Superman like a Superman fanboy at a convention meet and greet. The reason why Henry Cavill didn't wind up in the theatrical cut of the movie, that original ending, was because he was held up filming Mustache Impossible Fallout. Originally, what was supposed to happen is that Mission Impossible was supposed to finish their filming by the time that they started filming the Shazam movie, but Tom Cruise broke his leg doing that crazy building jump stunt, and they had to delay filming on Mission Impossible for 8 weeks. So when they came back to finish filming Mission Impossible, they were already ready to film Henry Cavill's Superman scene for the Shazam ending. So that's why they had to come up with a completely different version of the scene. The Justice League reshoots didn't get in the way. Those were actually finished by the time Shazam started shooting. So if you want to blame someone for Henry Cavill not being in the Shazam movie, blamed Tom Cruise's broken leg. The reason why they couldn't get Henry Cavill in during the Shazam reshoots, which happened way later at the end of 2018, was that by the time they had started doing those, he was full on shooting the Witcher series for Netflix. They're actually dropping a trailer for that in a couple weeks at Comic-Con, so we'll be talking about Witcher stuff in a couple weeks. Normally, if there's a small cameo scene like that, it's a lot easier to schedule around a really big actor's other projects because they're usually filming big movies all year long. They're booked years and years in advance. But it just wound up being the perfect storm between Mustache Impossible, Justice League reshoots, and the Witcher series, so that's why you didn't see Henry Cavill in the Shazam movie. So don't be surprised if you see way bigger cameos in the next Shazam movie, whatever they call the sequel, Justice League characters like Wonder Woman and Superman, because Zachary Levi did say that they were trying to get a Wonder Woman cameo in the first Shazam movie, but by the time they started working on that, Gal Gadot was also busy doing other stuff. Biggest cameo in the Shazam sequel probably going to be The Rock's Black Adam though, because the Black Adam movie is actually going to premiere before the Shazam sequel, so we'll have already met that character and know how he works, so it would make sense that they start to try to get him into the Shazam movies by that time. Moving into the Flash movie news, you probably heard that they revealed they just hired a new director who's actually a horror director and a new writer. They have not fired Ezra Miller, surprisingly. That was the one thing I felt like was going to happen, but they did throw out the script that he was working on with Grant Morrison. What happened was that the directors of the movie were going to be the writers from Spider-Man Homecoming. They wanted to do a lighter movie a la Back to the Future. Ezra Miller wanted to do a darker movie, more like comic book Flashpoint, and he wanted to do more multiverse stuff. So they had a couple competing versions of the movie. Warner Brothers threw out both of those versions, so the writers of Spider-Man Homecoming left the project. They hired the director of It Chapter 2, so they hired a horror director, meaning that they want to go with a darker tone Flash movie, but they hired the writer of the Birds of Prey movie and the Bumblebee movie, so just kind of balance that idea because Bumblebee was not a dark film, and Birds of Prey, even though it's obviously a little bit darker, doesn't sound like it's going to be Suicide Squad level dark. The interesting thing, though, is that people who have actually been seeing Birds of Prey footage say that it's a pretty badass film, so if it's getting so much praise behind the scenes, you would think that they would want to show a teaser off, but I think that they're probably going to wait till October to show the first trailer from that when the Joker movie premieres, because remember, we still have that rated R Todd Phillips Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix coming up later this year, so there'll be more footage for that before we see the Birds of Prey footage. But the last we heard about the Flash movie is that they wanted to introduce the multiverse, and even though it would probably still be a version of Flashpoint, it'll still be relatively self-contained to just Flash comic book characters. Maybe minor cameo or two, but the whole thing now is they're trying to separate the DC movies, even though they're technically still connected. This is the last thing that Ezra Miller said about them introducing DC Multiverse though, which did kind of get me excited, even though he sounds like he just took a whole bunch of drugs before he did this interview.
We're talking about sparking a whole new universe, which is, it's not just the DC multiverse, it's the speedster multiverse. And the speedsters are the ones who connect all of the disparate pieces of it. Because Marvel is a universe, right? It's just one world and all the same characters in it. DC is a multiverse. All these different stories with different realities, different characters and versions of characters. And the speedsters are the ones who move through it all. They're like the connecting bridge between all these different collaged parts. And so I'm really delighted at how focused everyone is on getting it just right. And I'm really devoted to that as well. And I honestly, we won't make the film unless it's going to be this consummate, beautiful offering to the fans and to everybody. I mean, we're just going to make a fantastic movie, but we're really focused on making it this, super gift to DC fans.
Couple minor issues with that interview. He does kind of get things wrong about how the Marvel multiverse works. They've already kind of done multiverse in the Doctor Strange movie, so we'll just pretend like he hasn't seen all the Marvel movies yet. I know you're all wondering about when the next actual Man of Steel movie is going to happen. Like I said, I did a video about how J.J. Abrams has been basically moving his company into Warner Brothers with this big $500 million deal. They're basically paying J.J. Abrams $500 million to develop movies and television shows exclusively for Warner Brothers now. That deal is so big, it's probably going to take the rest of the year to close that, which is probably why you won't hear anything about that at Comic-Con, and DC movies are just kind of skipping Comic-Con in general. odds are pretty good that he'll wind up doing the Green Lantern Corps movie, or he'll wind up doing a Man of Steel sequel. He'll probably go for Green Lantern. I think that actually needs more attention than Man of Steel, and maybe you just do a Superman cameo during that, because we have had a couple really great Superman films in the last 20, 30 years, but we have not had a good Green Lantern movie yet. Fun Easter egg too, the director of Mission Impossible, Christopher McQuarrie, and Henry Cavill actually pitched Green Lantern and Superman movies to Warner Brothers a little while ago, but he actually said, the director said that they did not go for it, or they did not move forward with his idea for a Green Lantern movie or for a Man of Steel sequel. He never explained what the plot of those movies were supposed to be, so it's just open to speculation as to what those might have looked like. But the way he tells it now is that he does not expect to do any kind of superhero movie in the future, so whatever that idea was, it sounds like it's come and gone. But if there's any really big DC movie news happening around Comic-Con, I will do a video for it, but I'm not expecting any big trailers. The big news though is Marvel just announced they're doing a 90-minute Hall H Comic-Con panel with Kevin Feige. That means they're probably going to show off footage for a couple films, maybe some concept art, and announce their Phase 4 schedule, or at least the next 4 years or so worth of movies, including Spider-Man 3. So I will talk about all that stuff in a separate video. But if you have any big questions that you want me to make bonus videos about, just let me know in the comments. And congratulations to the giveaway winner from my last big video, Comical Cosme. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. Click here for my Spider-Man Far From Home Easter eggs and post-credit scene videos, and click here for that new Shazam Black Adam.